They know. I don't know how. I don't know why. But the children know. Every night it repeats. Again and again in a twisted symphony. I do not understand how the children have released themselves from their servitude and delusion. But their images haunt my mind. Their intention of such lucid nightmares is unclear. But I have my hypothesis, and thus I must endure, which I shall, of course.
Welcome back everyone to a new theory video on FNaF Freddy's. I do want to start there with first a small apologies for the long wait after the Fights Fiction and Screenshot video. I decided I'll take a little bit of a break and just work a bit slow. But now we're back on the grind, and today we are covering a simple topic, the FNAF 2 dreams. Hey everyone, if you can't tell, I got quite a new appearance you could say, and it's all thanks to a friend from, well, YouTube. He made the art and the low poly model. I'm going to be using this alongside the old ones as well. It'll be alternating, but for this video I'm going to primarily use the new model and art. So let me know down below what you think about it, but I will be using both. But again, massive thanks to Freddy for making the art and the model. Going back to the video. I truly do believe that in this video, we discover the true answer to the FNAF 2 dreams, solving the questions of who, why, and when. But I won't be doing it alone. Fellow creators Narraven and Wizard Circle will be appearing to explain the dreams and add on a unique theory, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But regardless, remember, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and leave a comment down below with your thoughts. Not only does it really help in the algorithm, I do like to hear your responses and your overall opinions on what we're talking about. But if you really enjoy my content, remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell for, well, notifications. But with all that said, let's get right into it. Now, I believe we should probably first go over what we know for sure about the dreams, and that's why my friend and fellow creator Narraven has come on to explain.
In Five Nights at Freddy's 2, there are many secrets sprinkled throughout the game. However, one of these mysteries is a story that the End of Night cutscenes is trying to tell us. These End of Night cutscenes play when you first launch the game, End of Night 2, 3, and 4. The first cutscene depicts us as Freddy in the FNAF 1 location, with Bonnie and Chica by our sides. After looking left and right for a little while, the screen glitches out and displays the text ERR, a play on error, in the top left of the screen. You are then thrown into the main menu of FNAF 2. Now after beating Night 2, you are thrown to another End of Night cutscene, where the premise is the same, except Bonnie and Chica are starting to look at you a little bit more. You look around for a little bit, then the screen glitches out, however this time, It's Me appears in the top left corner this time around. Now let's cut to Night 3 and 4, as they're very similar. Night 3 now features Golden Freddy staring at us, with Bonnie and Chica now staring directly at us with almost a sign of anger. Same thing happens as per usual with It's Me appearing yet again. Night 4 is essentially the same thing, however the marionette is the one staring into our eyes, with Bonnie and Chica now back to their calm stages, like in the intro version of these cutscenes, again with It's Me later appearing yet again. That's really all we know flat out about these cutscenes, as they don't give much information to us, though my job isn't to theorize on this for you, so I'm going to pass it back over to Draz.
They continue to haunt my mind, but their efforts are in vain. Their cries fall on deaf ears. But this experience has proven my hypothesis. They desire to take their revenge. I have several contingencies in place for such conditions. I will prepare down below.
I want to hand over a massive thanks to Narraven for coming on to explain the dreams. Make sure to check him out down below in the description. But regardless, that is pretty much all we know about the dreams from the game itself. But what exactly is going on, and what's the purpose? Well, the first step in solving that is first solving, who is the dreamer? Well, the question of who the dreamer is, I feel, is actually a pretty simple one. Many suspect it's Gabriel doing Give Gives Give Life, or Jeremy between the nights. But I have one central issue with this. The animatronics don't like you. Think about it. The way the dreams progress is that the animatronics turn to stare at Freddy with a seeming level of aggression and disdain. Why would Chica and Bonnie turn to look at Gabriel or even Jeremy this way? Not only that, why would the puppet follow your vision around like this? Like they're haunting you? Whoever this is, it's someone they really don't like. And that person could only be William Afton. You know, their killer. I can't put my finger on it, but I have a good feeling they wouldn't really like that guy, if you know what I mean. But is there supporting evidence for this claim? Yes, there is. Let's take the cutscene, brighten up, and see what you get. Oh yeah, yep, that's Shadow Freddy. Now, I could probably guess what you're thinking right now. Could this be unintended? And well, yeah, it could be unintended. I personally doubt it a lot. As a reminder, this is the purple guy's introductory game, and Shadow Freddy's as well. And remember, Shadow Freddy is correlated to William in the game. Shadow Freddy appears as a purple Fredbear in the exact same background William used the Fredbear suit to kill the DCI. And at the time, it was very implied that William used the Fredbear suit to kill the MCI. So it'd be pretty crazy if the dreams with animatronics haunting you with a purple Freddy when frightened was unintended. In addition to that, there's something pretty unique that many people don't remember. Outside the frame of the cutscene is another text that isn't "It's me." Instead, it reads, "It's him." While not technically used, it is in the files of the game, and is technically there outside the frame. You just can't see it in the actual game itself. But I would argue that "It's him" would give us the likely intent Scott had when making the dream cutscenes. I mean, anyway, in the exact same game, we can find "He was here" for Mangle in the files of Save Them, which refers to Afton. And even in Fazbear's fights, when William is revealed in a Stitch Wraith, Andrew outright says the term "It's him" in reference to William. So yeah, it's very likely this is meant to relate to William Afton, which hence makes him the dreamer. So yeah, overall, it does seem that William may be the dreamer of the in-between night cutscenes of FNAF 2. But that does still leave a big question. How did it happen? Well, it could just be dreams induced by a spirit, yeah, and likely would be the original intent by Scott when the game came out, but could there be more to it? Well, a fellow creator and fierce Word Circle has come on to give his own unique spin on these cutscenes. Take it away, bro.
Hey everyone, thanks Drazem for having me on, and it's time to explain how William Afton, the perpetrator of the missing children incident, started having these specific nightmares. At first, it doesn't seem like there's much evidence to support this, right? Well, think again, because there's one big piece of evidence that makes William having these nightmares very likely. In the Fazbear Frights novella You're the Band, we find out that agony can not only attach itself to physical objects, but also influence people who come in contact with it. In the novella, an 8-year-old kid called Timmy Collins is given a vintage Freddy Fazbear mask by his mother. However, this wasn't any normal mask. This was an authentic Freddy Head, supposedly the one from the animatronic Gabriel, one of the Freddy Fazbear missing children, got stuffed into. Timmy starts acting weird, reacting strongly to knives and sudden movements, and talking about shadows in his room. Eventually, Timmy's mom meets a man named Mike, who brings him to Freddy Fazbear's and ends Timmy's possessions, supposedly freeing the agony in the Freddy Fazbear head. It's worth pointing out that You're the Band is one of 3 scrapped Fazbear Fright stories, but even though they're not canon, we can still use them to draw conclusions about the story. And this particular novella explains a lot about the FNAF 2 nightmares, because I think they were caused by the one thing every night guard at the new Freddy Fazbear's used. We know someone, almost definitely William Afton, went undercover and worked as a night guard in the 1987 Freddy's, as Phone Guy himself lets us know.
You're only the second guard to work at that location. The first guy finished his week, but complained about conditions. We switched him over to the day shift. So, hey, lucky you, right? Mainly he expressed concern that certain characters seemed to move around at night and even attempted to get into his office. Now, from what we know, that should be impossible. That restaurant should be the safest place on earth.
This explains how Afton got into the FNAF 2 location after the missing children incident, and why he's wearing a gold badge, a security guard's badge, on his chest in the Save Them minigame. And if he worked as a night guard, he'd have to use that Freddy mask. Now, the explanation for why I think this Freddy head is the same one as the one from the missing children incident is a bit complicated, but to put it quickly, in FNAF Help Wanted's remake of FNAF 2, we see that the Freddy mask is the same as that of the classic Freddy we see in FNAF 1. And as the week before and the Into the Pit game suggest, the animatronics from that original Freddy Fazbear likely looked identical to the ones from FNAF 1, with their ugly appearances in FNAF 2 being due to Fazbear Entertainment retrofitting them, as Phone Guy explains.
By now, I'm sure you've noticed the older models sitting in the back room. Those are from the previous location, and we just use them for parts now. The idea at first was to repair them. They even started retrofitting them with some of the newer technology, but they were just so ugly, you know, and the smell. So the company decided to just go in a whole new direction and make them super kid-friendly. Those older ones shouldn't be able to walk around, but if they do, the should work on them too, so whatever.
My point is that since William came in contact with that Freddy Head, it's likely the agony attached to it would mess with his brain and memories, causing him to have nightmares of his victims coming to life, defying all reason. We know that these are nightmares thanks to FNAF 2's code, and the "it's him" message that Draz brought up earlier heavily implies this. It's him, their killer. So overall, this is what I think the FNAF 2 nightmares are about. William's dreams shortly after leaving his night shift, seeing his victims turned into animatronics night after night after night. Thanks again to Draz for having me on, and that'll be all from me. Bye.
The children think they've taken the advantage, that they will find me and exact their revenge. But mistaken. I have gathered the materials and done the precautions. The scooper is also ready. Tonight I will reassert my control, and they will never question their obedience again.
Just like with Nero, I gotta give a massive thanks to Weird Circle for coming on and giving that pretty unique Freddy Head theory. His channel of course will be linked down below in the description. But now, we are left with the question of, well, why? What was the story purpose of Scott showing us these cutscenes? How did they pertain to FNAF 2? Well, that's because they don't. Remember, by the time Scott was making FNAF 2, he did have FNAF 3 in mind. He envisioned it as a full trilogy by that point. So, what if these dreams aren't for FNAF 2, but rather the foreshadow of FNAF 3? And where do both Purple Guy and Shadow Freddy appear in FNAF 3? Follow me. The dreams of foreshadowing. Follow me. Where William returns to dismantle the animatronics, with Shadow Freddy luring the children to him to dismantle. What this means is, the dreams are showing us that William, haunted by the nightmares, returned to the location to dismantle the animatronics, to cover up the evidence and hide the truth, but also to regain control of the MCI kids. Perhaps in the modern context with what an MCI, it was a failed or successful attempt at it. The dreams then are showing us the prelude and reason why William does follow me. But one question does still remain. Who's causing these nightmares? Well, what if it's the puppet? He's the last thing you see in the dreams as it builds up. He is the final one. Each night builds up the intensity, with it ending with the puppet following a vision, haunting William. This build-up would make a lot of sense if this is meant to show that the puppet was the one causing William's nightmares, resulting in him doing follow me and sending him to his own demise. And we do know spirits can invade or cause dreams and nightmares too, due to the movie, so I do think it makes a lot of sense. Now, something I forgot to add, but does belong in this section, is that this theory would explain why the puppet seems to be absent from Follow Me. Consider this, the puppet was introduced in FNAF 2, and is being teased for FNAF 3, Follow Me, in the dreams. But in Follow Me, we don't see the puppet at all, so what gives? Even in later stories like Yo the Band, we do see the puppet was at the FNAF location like we see in the dreams. So again, where's the puppet? Well, if Charlie wasn't directly involved in Follow Me, the way she could have been involved is being the one who caused William to go there in the first place, in the hope that the children will kill him and thus free all the souls and achieving her mission. But as we know, it's a little more complicated than that, but that is one way it could have gone from her perspective and how she could have been involved in Follow Me. With all that said though, that's the theory. The dreams show that the puppet was inducing nightmares upon William, making him believe the children are after him and that he lost his control. This results in return to the location to dismantle, hide the evidence, and regain control, but instead, he ends up freeing the souls and meeting his own demise in Springtrap. Now, for me personally, I have believed this theory for around 4 or 5ish years by this point, and I really like it, and I'm quite confident in believing it really going forward. But regardless though, I want to give a massive thanks again to World Circle for coming on and giving his own unique spin on the theory. Make sure to check him out if you somehow, well, haven't already. I of course also have to give a massive thanks to Nero Raven for coming on to explain the dreams. This all came about because of a stream he did on FNAF 1 and 2, which he actually invited me on, and it was really fun. I'll link that stream down below in the description. And last but not least, I gotta give a massive thanks to Solid Silver for doing the Afton voice. He did it absolutely phenomenal. He also did the Afton voice in a Withered Truths FNAF 1 remake video. So yeah, check him out as well, he did great. All their channels will be linked down below in the description. Now, with all that done, remember, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and leave a comment down below with your thoughts and opinions, as it really does help me out in figuring out what you enjoy, what you don't agree with, and what you do agree with, but it also really helps the video out in the algorithm, so I would really appreciate it. But if you enjoy my content and me particularly, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications on future uploads. Now, with all that said, see you next time.